You're listening to the Super League Pod, coming up on your favourite Rugby League podcast. I'm back off my holidays, so I sound less like a Dalek than you might be used to. We've got your feedback and shout-outs, news from around the world of Rugby League. We'll be looking back at a thrilling week of action in the Super League, as well as previewing Round 19's fixtures. All that and more, third time lucky on the Super League Pod. Okay, hello everyone.
Were you already thinking I was going to slip those two mess-ups in the end of the show?
Yeah, well, I figure they're going to be sat in there as Easter eggs, so yeah, and I'm all about being transparent and honest, so yeah, that took 3 goes to nail on. I'm obviously...
One take last week, I was, Tom.
Smashed it, mate. Well, I don't know, do I? Yeah, but you're not the sort of lad to lie to me, so I do believe you. Yeah, that is, poor form. But I'm obviously a bit rusty.
Yeah, but you're back off your holidays. Did you have a good time?
I had a lovely time, thank you very much. Yeah, the weather was tremendous. Erin had an amazing time, and I had a couple of days knocking around the far coast on my own once I got back and dropped her off as well. So it's been a restful.
What sort of stuff did you get up to?
Week up in the lakes. Everything you might expect, really. We were lucky with the weather. First of all, it was amazing. We did a lot of boat trips. We went to the aquarium. We went to Peter Rabbit World. We did all sorts of, nice things for Erin. Lots of ice creams, lots of, little teas out and stuff. And there was a swimming pool.
So there's nice things for you as well, then.
Actually, I was being generally quite good until the last night, and then I treated myself to a pizza at a lovely little trattoria. And there was a swimming pool in the place where our cabin was as well, so we could go swimming every day. And yeah, it was wonderful. Really, really nice holiday. Very restful, but. Honestly, glad to be back, and it wasn't quite the same doing it over the phone. And I missed podcasting. It occurred to me sort of probably yesterday evening. Like, I'm really looking forward to getting back in and doing the show. So no, it's really nice to be back. How's your week been?
Well, I've had a busy week, Thomas.
Do tell.
Well, it was my wife's birthday.
It was
this weekend, so we were out for a meal with the in-laws on Saturday. That was nice. Went to a Greek place in St Anne's. Very good.
Oh, good.
And Sunday we went and watched an open air performance of Wuthering Heights.
I believe so. So with lots of Yorkshire accents then? Heathcliff. No,
yeah.
Kathy would be a bit higher pitched than that.
No, not really.
Was she not? Was it an all-male cast?
No.
Kathy, I've come across Mars for you.
The theatre group were from Lincoln, so...
it's not too far,
so the accents weren't natural, but they were close.
Right.
And they were certainly emphasising on their Yorkshireness. Yeah, but it was...
that does sound tremendous.
It was entertaining. We braved... It was a bit wet for most of the thing. I was hoping one of the people would slip over on the stage. That didn't really happen.
Always something you got to hope.
So there was nothing too funny in that regard. But no, it was good, yeah.
Cool.
And then earlier in the week, people might have noticed on Thursday night, the Google form went up late. Because I thought, right, I had to drop some stuff off at my mum's house.
Right.
So I'll drop it off on the way home from work. Be back in time to watch the Cast game on TV. No such luck.
Really?
No, I got to my mum's and one of my little sisters had just been dropped off from football practice. She'd gone over on her ankle and was worried it might have broken or something. So my mum doesn't drive, so it needed taken up to the Vic.
It's a good thing you were there.
Well, for them.
Well, absolutely. And for your little sister, of course.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah. And so we ended up being at the Vic hospital until from about 7 till about 11:30.
And before I start cracking jokes, has she broken her ankle? Or?
Well, they weren't sure,
right.
To be honest.
Oh, God, that's never good. So that's more of an indictment of the NHS than anything else, isn't it?
Well, she had a student radiographer, and I don't know if that had any impact on the quality of the x-rays that were done. Right. But basically the doctor said wasn't...
I don't know if I'm doing this right, but her ankle's got teeth.
The doctor... No. In all seriousness, the doctor said, the x-rays look fine, but the swelling lets me worry about it enough to put something more protective than just strapping it up. So they put a plaster on it, and then she's back tomorrow as we speak to see if to get it rescanned and see what the crack is.
Bloody hell!
Or not.
No pun intended. That's well, you know, which
the trooper though,
which sister is it? Jade.
Yeah.
Oh well,
Sky doesn't do sports.
Does she not?
No
Sky Sports.
Oh no.
Fair enough. It's pun central, isn't it? Oh, we'll get well soon, Jade. I'm sure you're listening.
Yeah, she will do now because Mum always does.
There you go. That's
Avid fan. She loved it that I did the intro. You know, she gets a bit like protective over you letting me have my share of the show.
No, she has no
I say to her like, do you not listen to the middle bit where it's all me talking?
Yeah. This is
obviously not.
No, she just listens in to hear my voice and then that's it.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So apart from you and I, who's been getting in touch with
us? Well, speaking of your voice, really,
yes.
actually, Tom, because it seems like we're more easy to tell apart when we are apart. Because a few people got in touch, but we'll start with what you alluded to in the intro. Paul Ludo Lewis got in touch. He said, "Great Super League pod this week. So pleased for Mark getting to live his boyhood dream of presenting a podcast with a Dalek."
Hey,
that's actually Bernard JKD's lifelong dream, not mine. But
well, there you go.
Yeah, Lee Whitnell, he got in touch. Tom does an awesome Dalek impression this week. Awesome effort, boys.
Hashtag above and beyond. I will say that there was no above and beyond. I had 4 cans of bitter on the go, and I was talking about rugby league. It was. It was pretty good.
And really. I didn't have to drive anywhere.
Exactly. So it actually it was better for us both, didn't it?
Yeah, it was an harder edit, I suppose. Sean Bruiser got in touch. He said, "Is it just me, or does Tom Crook on the phone sound like Barry Mack?" I'm getting flashbacks to the Lee Phelps podcast. I don't know what that is. Alan Walker, though, so you're not the only one, Sean, because Alan Walker said, the Barry Mack loving has gone too far. Tom's away, and it sounds like you get Barry Mack on the phone. No Tez O'Connor, though, thank F.
Right. I'm all for ending the Barry Mack loving because I don't want to overdo it, but there was something I wanted to talk about last week and I didn't get to bring it into the show because I forgot to mention it, and I think it's something I would have remembered, and it was actually to do with something that Barry Mack was talking about on the Sky commentary for the St Helens and what was the game last weekend? Saints Warrington?
Yes.
Saints Warrington game the weekend before last. I got really annoyed watching that and listening to the commentary from Eddie and Steve-O. In this day and age where we're really conscious about concussion and players being injured, Lamatasi gets hit in the head, goes off, needs 10 stitches. And as they're negotiating getting Lamatasi off the field, which you obviously have to do with rugby league players because they will carry on playing as they can do, Barry makes the point very validly that he'll need to go and get he'll need to be checked for concussion. That's got to be a worry, isn't it? If he's cut his head open, he's taking a big knock to the head. I forget whose elbow it was, but he's taking a big hit to the head. And all the way through, Eddie and Steve are going, "No, he'll be all right. He doesn't look concussed to me." I'm like, not looking concussed to you isn't the fucking barometer for whether or not Lamatasi has a concussion, you twat. And you're the loudest voice in rugby league in terms of the one that everybody hears all the time. And it just felt a bit irresponsible to me. And I appreciate that it's a bit after the Lord may show me bringing it up, but it really pissed me off. And I actually thought, Barry was quite right to bring it up. Anyway, end of
I know most of the boys over at Sky Sports take the concussion protocols very seriously. So yeah. Okay, so we move on to Mark Hogan. He says, humans can invent aviation, land a craft on a comet, live in space for months, cure diseases, make robots with AI. What humans can't do, though, is speak on a clear phone line in the same country.
Yeah, struggled, didn't we?
Well, I think it's when you get into the flow and it starts getting like quicker conversation.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we struggle when
we get into the flow when we're face to face, don't we? Yeah, that's true. Well, it doesn't happen very often, Mr. Hogan.
I know, and Mark was only joking there, of course, and he enjoyed the show, I'm sure. FC #mate.
Well, I feel like we need some credit for this. We definitely
gave trademarked it for himself.
Well, I feel like. Who was it? Mozart or Salieri? Who was the one that was outdone by the other? I feel like we've had it stolen from us a little bit. Well,
it's Langers anyway, so he can share in it. He can be involved.
I don't mind.
Yeah, he says cracking episode this week, but Brett Hodgson scored for Canberra ? #comeback, #accidental ID, #accidental Steve-O. No, it was just a fuck up.
There you go. We occasionally make them.
Yeah, well, I made plenty. Do you know what? Reading isn't as easy as I thought it was, Tom. You know, I have a go at you, feel like just read what it says.
I'm saying.
I had a few slip-ups last week, that's for sure. Although I hadn't actually written down his first name, as you know, I don't write down the first name of the players, do I?
No.
I'm just an idiot. Paul O'Brien said, just listen to the show. The NRL are easy to get rid of players who have indiscretions outside the game. So I wonder if Zach would get a contract with an NRL team.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about that, hasn't there, in the news, and kind of everyone's been throwing their two penn'orth in.
Yeah,
how do you see it going?
Well, we've got another one from Rich Wilkinson on the Zach Hardacre subject. And last week, when we covered it in the news, I covered it sort of briefly. I said, well, maybe roll in a few views this week and get your take on it, because it obviously was the biggest story last week.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the biggest confirmed story last week.
Yeah.
Let's say. So, Rich Wilkinson said, I think Zach may be on the cusp of a massive reality check. His mental toughness is about to get tested in a big way. If he gets a gig, it's a massive pressure cooker in the NRL, and that's putting it lightly. If he doesn't get a gig, can his ego handle the rejection? As a Leeds fan, I have genuinely taken Zach to my heart. As a dad in my late 30s who has lived a bit and lived in Australia for over 5 years, I genuinely worry for Hardacre coming over here on his own in his mid-20s without a genuine support network. I'm not quite sure what his management are thinking. I hope Zach's welfare is the priority. Interested to hear what you boys think of it all. So there's two sorts of things to get into there. Whether the NRL want him because of his indiscretions off the field, and whether or not he can cope with the environment, given that he's had his problems off the field.
Yeah. My thoughts on it are this. I think, look, the arc of the story that we're being given these days from Leeds Rhinos is that Zach Hardacre is very much a reformed character, and he's made some mistakes in his younger days, and moving forward he's rectified these and tried to atone for them, and is a different character around the place these days.
He has had issues even this year on Twitter with things being a bit inappropriate, though, hasn't he?
He does. He's not necessarily, I'm not saying he's whiter than white, and I'm sure we can point to other rugby league players and other professional sportsmen who've also said stupid things on Twitter. I think that if he were playing the way he was playing this time last year in a side that was doing as well, then a mid to lower range NRL side that might be looking to change things up and have a bit of cap space might take a punt on him for a year, 18 months to see what he does and come in and look after him and kind of support him that way. But I don't think he's playing well enough to necessarily outweigh the potential for him to fuck up off the pitch in some teams' minds. And I wonder if that's going to get in the way of him getting a move. I think that if he plays to his ability and hits the ceiling of his own performances, that he can do a job in the NRL. But I don't think he'd go over there and be a standout performer. When you look at some of the fullbacks and what's the guys that are playing their trade at the top end of, at the top end of that NRL table, I'm thinking of guys like, even young Cameron Munster and stuff like that. He's an absolute cut above, and I don't think Hardacre at the moment is hitting those heights. If he moves to a club that's outside that big Sydney bubble, perhaps that helps him. If he goes somewhere like Canberra, for example, which is,
because that is so fucking good for Blake Ferguson and
But for the think about it this way: for the young English players that have gone out there recently, Hodgson likes to run through a doorway. Elliot Whitehead certainly liked to party from his time at Bradford. Now, Canberra, and the Aussie listeners will correct me if I'm wrong, but the impression I get is that Canberra's removed from that a little bit, with it being the administrative capital of Australia, and perhaps it's easier where there's not as much going on to kind of cosset these lads away and look after them and get them to live their lives right than it would be if he was in Bondi Beach, for instance, and the Roosters are down the bottom end of NRL, and maybe they'd be interested in trying to, spark things up a touch. And then he is hanging out with people like Blake Ferguson and what have you. I think if he goes somewhere that's not in that Channel 9 Sydney bubble, maybe that would be a good move for him. But he has to improve his performances for me.
Okay, so you've got Josh Dugan, you've got Blake Ferguson, you've got Joel Monaghan, you've got Todd Carney. These were all people who were at Canberra, were they not? At some point in time,
Dugan played at Canberra. Yeah, what did he do? He
was on board with Blake Ferguson for a lot of off-field.
All right, Fergie played at Canberra. Joel Monaghan played at Canberra. Okay,
Joel Monaghan was at Canberra when he.
Oh, maybe I don't know. I'm just trying to find ways that it might work. But
I think there's other players.
There's lots of players that do stupid things.
There's other players to use examples of positives. I'm sure they'll be able to find examples of negatives. Someone like Sam Tompkins has come back more mature as a off the field human, possibly. He's got a missus and a kid now that was in the pipeline from New Zealand. That he has now, so that's a difference from when he went, I suppose. like I say, Josh Hodgson's maybe calmed down a little bit, and that's with the seniority on the playing side of things he's probably had, as well as getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think Zach will not be able to cope or grow up or what have you. I know what Tompkins did is took people with him when he first went.
Yeah.
And that helped him adapt. I don't know if Zach could have the facility to do that if he gets an NRL, if he gets